Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Today, we are going to talk all about mastering the art of body language. Now, if you remember, we've been doing a lot of things when it comes to communication. We've been talking about spoken communication, where we looked at the mistakes that people make. We looked at how do you go about improvising your communication, which was part one. We looked at a part two where we spoke in depth. We spoke about idioms. We looked at quite a few examples of idioms. We went ahead and looked at storytelling templates, and we also discussed about listening. Now, if you rewind a bit, let's go back to when we started talking about the three elements. I want to check with you if you remember this, the three elements of communication. Pause this video and try to jog your memory. Can you think of what was this rule called? We spoke about 55, 38, and 7. Can you jog your memory and tell me what was this rule called? So I'm guessing you've got it right. It's the Albert Mehrabian rule. Yes. The rule simply states that this is typically true for first impressions, that when you meet a person for the first time, maximum of your attention goes on his or her body language. 38% goes on how he is talking, which is the tone of voice, the rate of speech, the volume, and everything. Rate of speech is nothing but the pace, how fast or how slow you're talking. And then the words. So today we are going to focus on a combination of 55 plus 38, which is a 93% in total of communication. Now, body language, as we all know, is non-verbal communication, right? It is not words. Words is this, which is verbal. The other two are considered non-verbal. So as such, 55 plus 38, which comes to a 93, is non-verbal communication, right? So when we think of non-verbal, what all things come to your mind? Maybe scents, like the fragrances, maybe sounds like people laughing, people crying, the sounds around you, what sounds people make while sleeping, while talking, and so on. All that is non-verbal communication. And a part of non-verbal communication is body language. So if I look at this, this is 93%. Out of the 93, the 55 chunk is body language. All right. So out of these, pause this video and let me know what according to you is body language out of all of this. It also contains certain things which are not body language, but they are here on this chart because they are non-verbal communication. So for example, I told you about scent. If you look at fragrance, it's not there on this slide, but fragrance also is non-verbal communication. It's telling you something about the person's taste, what kind of smells they like, what kind of personality they might be. If somebody is using a very strong perfume, they might have that personality where they like to be noticed. And if somebody is using like a very milder, like a milder scent perfume, possibly their personality is such where they might be sensitive by nature, they might be emotional, or maybe they just don't like people, noticing them too much and, getting that public attention basically, right? So now pause this video and tell me what, according to you, can be body language in all of this. So posture, do you feel it is body language? Body language is nothing but your actions, right? Through your body. Like let's say if I'm sitting in a particular way, if I'm slouching versus I'm sitting straight, it's telling you something about me, right? Looking at the body. Okay, you can say hand movement, head movement, absolutely. Even the eye movement for that matter, it's related to my body. What about facial expressions? If a person is smiling, a person is angry, the face is a part of the body, right? It's telling you something. Same way it is shaking hands because your hand is involved, which is a part of your body, right? Now, closeness depends. If there is there is between two people, there's some sort of closeness of, there are four people, we call that proxemics. It's actually a part of body, it's actually a part of non-verbal communication, but in today's session, I will be covering it. because sometimes closeness can lead to a hug or it can lead to handshakes and so on, where eventually there is body language happening. But as such, closeness, the distance between two people, two or more people, we consider it in non-verbal communication. What about sounds? So the way a person sounds is more so paraverbal, right? And apart from that, way of talking, this again is paraverbal, pausing, word stress. We did word stress if you remember as well. All this is non-verbal. Let's talk about appearance. Now, appearance is non-verbal communication because it's telling you about a person. When a person is messy, untidy, we form the impression that he may not be a clean person to deal with. But if a person looks really prim and proper, hair groomed properly, makeup is on point, then you believe that this person won't cheat on you, right? These are all the judgments, all the impressions that we have. But to be quite honest, it can be wrong also. Like maybe if you see a person who's not groomed his hair, who's been very shabby, you won't feel like doing business with him for sure because he does not look reliable. But that's the problem. You cannot just by looks tell whether a person is reliable or not. Yes, we do form judgments that this person is going to be unreliable, but we also need to look at his body language to understand how truthful he is, right? And today's session is just going to help you with that to understand a person better, whether he or she can be trusted, whether they are reliable, whether they are lying or not. All these things are what we are going to be covering today. In fact, you're going to get a lot of tips today, even when it comes to interviews. So while I may not necessarily call it out as an interview tip, when I talk to you about it, you can actually imagine doing those things in an interview and you'll get an idea of what the opposite person might be thinking about you. All right. So today, whatever we are talking on body language, it's going to help you everywhere, not necessarily just in interviews or in meetings. It can help you even with your personal relationships. Like, for example, if a friend is really upset and you don't display the right body language, the friend can get more upset. She was upset about something else. Now she's upset on you because you're not listening properly, right? So all the tips that we discussed today can be used anywhere in your life. So are you ready to get started? I hope you have your notepad and pen with you. Be ready to take a lot of notes. Okay. So now, simply put, body language is nothing but it refers to non-verbal signs that we use to communicate, right? But remember, if you remember, let's go back to the Albert Mehrabian rule. We had discussed that verbal and non-verbal go hand in hand. In fact, we had also taken examples of objects around us. If you remember that happy jars bag, so there are objects that are non-verbal, but if you want a communication to be successful, it always has to be hand in hand, right? So body language is the non-verbal part of it, and it includes our postures, the way we sit, the way we stand, our gestures, what do we do with our hand movements, our facial expressions, eye movements, handshakes, and much more. Yeah. So anything that you do with your body, including your face, becomes a part of body language. Now, tell me one thing. Why do you think body language is important? What is the reason that we need a separate session just to discuss body language? I mean, come on. We've been going to school, we've been going to college. They've taught us how to sit, they've taught us how to behave properly, they've taught us how to give eye contact, and so on. Then why do we need a session on body language? In fact, it's not just for you, but even in corporate, when I teach 40-year-olds, 45-year-olds, I talk the same things. So imagine something that can possibly, you can learn in your 20s. You're also again going back in corporate, and in your corporate training programs, you're learning even in 30s and 40s. So why do you think there's so much emphasis given on this topic? So probably it tells a lot about a person, how their personality is. Absolutely. It speaks volumes about the person. Even if you are keeping quiet, you're not talking, your body language continues to share some messages, right? And we've discussed this. We looked at the bag the other day, the happy jars. It was not talking to you, but it was communicating something to you, right? So body language is important because it accounts for 55% liking, which is this 55% liking. When I say liking, it means people like to see body language the maximum. And when we have to, if we have to quantify it, it's approximately 55%. Apart from that, body language is honest. You can lie from your mouth. You can use false words. You can bluff with the help of words, but your body language will give away. Okay. If you lie about something, if the opposite person is an expert in body language, they can just look at you and tell when you're lying and when you're speaking the truth. Okay. So many a times, I'm sure you would have seen that somebody has been caught in a criminal case, and the policeman is kind of questioning him again and again, and he's a very rigid person. He's just not willing to reveal the truth. But still, the police kind of tricks him and somehow asks those kind of questions, which finally give up. Now, the police needs evidence, which is he actually saying that he has committed a crime. But the police is sure that this is the person who's committed a crime because it can purely see his or her body language. Now, let me also tell you one thing, that if you understand these tips and tricks really well, I'm not encouraging this, but you will notice that people, especially the criminals, can even trick the lie detector machines. Okay, what do I mean by that? Typically, the lie detector machines work on your pulse rate, your heartbeat, right? So these criminals, they wire their brain in such a way that even if they are speaking lies, even if an event has not happened, they have taught their brain to believe that it's happened, and that's why it's not getting even detected on the lie detector machine, right? So of course, I am not endorsing this, but I'm telling you that sometimes, when people are seasoned liars, they can, you need to be really seasoned to do this. They can actually trick even machines, which actually can, kind of gauge your heart rate and decide whether you're lying or not, right? But otherwise, for people like you and me, who don't do these kind of acts, it's very difficult to not let your body language speak the truth. Okay. Next, body language creates awareness, self-awareness. Understanding your body language helps you to understand your own actions that can hinder success. I would like to explain this with the help of an example. Okay. Let's say you're a very sincere student, very sincere candidate, and you're going for an interview. You've prepared really well for it. Okay. But you constantly, fidget out of nervousness. You're fidgeting with your watch, you're fidgeting with your ring, you're folding your hands, and you're shaking your legs. Though you're a very sincere person, you've done everything well, still you won't get selected because your actions are telling me you're not a confident person, which means I cannot believe that if you join my company, you will be confident to do the work. Yes, you might be sincere, I'm not doubting that, but looking at your lack of confidence, I don't think I want to have you on board, right? Have you faced that ever? Have you ever faced that? Actions speak louder than words, absolutely, right? Have you ever faced it in your own life, or maybe for an interview, or maybe there was an event in school, college, somewhere where you had the knowledge, you felt that you know your work really well, but because of nervousness, you were not selected. Yeah, it's pretty natural. It's happened to me as well, right? But what is it about body language? Like, if you're good at your work, ideally you should be selected, right? Then why do they care about you not shaking your legs or you not fidgeting? See, the reason is everyone likes to have people who are confident. Yes, we all love people who have the knowledge, but more than knowledge, we want people who have confidence. So, in fact, I do recruit people as well, and I can tell you with my experience that there are many times we have hired people whose knowledge is little less, not the best, but little less, but their confidence levels are super high. So we prefer those kind of candidates because we know their mindset is such. Through their body language, they're able to show the confidence, which is making us understand their mindset. We believe their mindset is such that even if they don't have the knowledge today, they'll still be able to learn and perform tomorrow. Whereas if somebody has the knowledge, not show confidence signs, we are very confident that no matter how much we train that person, no matter how much we kind of invest in that person will not do well. right? So imagine a small thing like this, tapping your feet, fidgeting, despite being a good candidate, can lead to a lot of losses in your career and in your personal life, right? Apart from that, body language also helps you to understand feelings. How? Because body language shows how we feel, what our motives. So many a times, you must have seen that though a friend is not telling you that, hey, I'm angry, through the face, through the facial gestures, you can come to know that something is bothering my friend. I don't know what it is, but I can see it, right? So body language, through his body language, you can understand he's angry within. There's some problem within, right? So it helps to also understand a person's moods and feelings, and based on how things go, you can decide what to talk and when to talk. A simple example again, let's say you've just come home from work or from college. You ring the doorbell, hoping that let me talk to my parents about something that I need, something precious. And your mom opens the door and she's really furious. She's upset about something. She's not saying anything, but she looks really angry and furious, and you can make out her mood is not right, right? So in that case, you've understood her feelings without her uttering a word, and you've been smart and you said, okay, not the right time to talk to her about buying that thing. Let me talk to her when she seems to be a little calmer. And she does not need to come and tell me that, kid, I'm calm now. I can just see it on her facial expressions and her entire body language, right? Next, it enhances your listening and communication skills, which basically means that when you become aware of your body language, you can become a better listener. And people love listeners. Whole world loves to talk, but there are hardly any people to listen to. I mean, you'll be surprised to know that just 2% of the courses that are available worldwide are related to listening skills. Just imagine, okay? Listening skills is such an important quality, but just 2% of people in the world are, actually people, I won't say people in the world, just 2% of the creators, including universities, are talking on listening skills, right? So, in order to build that rapport with a person, in order to have a better relationship with him or her, you need to show that you're a better listener. And you can't say, hey, I'm a good listener. That won't justify it. What will justify it is your body language, which proves that you are a better listener. Now, I hope we are clear so far. Pause this video and check if you want to go back and recap anything. Go back, check your notes if we are good so far. Awesome. So with that, now I'd like to take it a step ahead. Let's talk about the two types of body language. One is open type of body language. We call it open body language. And the other is closed body language. Okay. What do you think this could be? Open body language and closed body language. So open, by the word open, you can make out, is something that is not closed, right? So for example, if I'm folding my hands, that is closed body language. A part of me has shut off, right? My arms are crossed. Let's say if my legs are crossed, that is called closed body language. But open, on the other hand, I'm using hand gestures right now while talking to you. So my body language is open, right? Same way, if I uncross my legs and I sit, or I have uncrossed my legs and I'm standing and talking to you, that is open body language. Same way, there are certain things where you can't do an open and close, but if it's a good positive body language, we call it open. Like for example, if I am smiling, now there's no open or close there, but it is kind of open because it's positive. So anything positive, we kind of relate it to open body language. So let's say there's an interview and I'm smiling at the right time, appropriately. I'm not over smiling. Please understand, when you over smile, it is negative. Why is it negative? Because it shows lack of confidence. When do we smile too much? When we are not confident, right? When we just want the world to accept. So you keep smiling. Think of it this way: when you're in a brand new group, okay, when you're in a brand new group and you don't know anyone, to be accepted, what do? You keep smiling. You're not arguing, you're not sharing your opinions, you're just smiling because you want to be accepted by them, right? And yes, when you're fake too, you tend to smile a lot more, because you don't want people to see your real emotions. Maybe you're getting really bored with these people. They're new people, you're getting really bored with them. So you just put on that plastic smile, which we call a fake smile, and continue, right? So I hope we are clear on open and close. Let's look at some examples. Remember, not every time can you kind of qualify things into open and close, but yes, there are times when you can call it positive and negative. Like in this case, smiling appropriately is positive body language, which means to show me that you're a friendly, open person, right? So open posture denotes being friendly, being open, being willing to learn, being willing to share. So if I'm smiling appropriately, I am a friendly person. If I'm giving proper eye contact, I am a confident person. So it's on the positive side. But if I'm, kind of irritated all the time, or if I'm frowning all the time, or let's say I have a straight face all the time, then it moves towards being unfriendly, being probably anxious, probably hostile, and that is negative. Okay, so here you can see very clearly in the picture, you have open body language where the person is not scared. He's not trying to, kind of occupy less space. He's taking more space. His hand gestures, you can see, they are open hand gestures, and closed, she's kind of shrinking her body, right? So this is closed. So open means the person will take more space because he or she is confident, and closed means they literally try to shrink themselves. Maybe they'll slouch, maybe they'll cross their hands, they'll cross their legs. So they'll try to occupy lesser space. All right. So those are the two types of body language. Let's look at some more examples. So uncrossed hands or arms, uncrossed legs, using hand gestures. These are open body language signs. Closed body language is crossing your arms, crossing your legs, hands are close to the body, as if you're shrinking your body to occupy less space. I hope we are good so far. I hope we are good so far. Take a pause and check if you've got the concept right. We spoke about open body language, closed body language, positive and negative. And we also spoke about who occupies more space. Okay. Now, usually in body language, it's said that the more space you occupy, the more confident you seem. Okay. Now, to be honest, that's very true for the Western part, Western culture. In India, we still are a little conservative. So yes, it's true. The more space you occupy, the more confident you look. But we don't spread ourselves way too much. Like for example, in Western culture, it might be okay if a person is sitting on a sofa and spreading his hand like that. Okay, he's occupying more space, and they're comfortable with the way they sit over there. But in India, because we are a little conservative by nature, we won't do that. This will look disrespectful in that case. Same way, if a person is sitting and Western culture, they spread their legs too much while sitting, it is still considered okay. They tend to spread their legs a little more over there compared to the Indians. But here, because again, we are not that broad-minded yet, we do take up space, but not so much that, we spread our legs, okay? So remember, yes, open body language is good, but not very open because we don't belong to that culture, okay? Moving on, now let's interpret a listener's body language. Okay, now we want to see if a listener were there, what kind of body language can he have? So one is of course open, the other is closed. The next is forward, the other one is back, forward and back. So when a person's body language is open, and he or she is leaning forward while talking to you, okay, leaning forward, that means they are ready to engage with you, they're eager to listen to what you are talking. We call it responsive. Okay, then on the other hand, if a person's body language is open, they're not crossing their arms, they're not crossing their legs, nothing, but they're sitting back. Okay, so here they are thoughtful. It's not that they're not listening. Here they are eagerly participating when they're moving forward. They are eager to, share things with you as well. But they're patient. It's not that they're interrupting you or anything. Okay, but here they're thoughtful. They're kind of evaluating the situation. They are focused. They are listening. They're thinking what can be done. Okay. On the other hand, if they're sitting back and their body language is closed, arms crossed, leg crossed, shrinking their body. It's a sign of withdrawal, which could basically mean that they are bored, or maybe they just want to get out of the situation. In their head, they're like, oh God, please let me go. I'm done. When will this person stop talking? They feel probably even rejected, that full time she's talking only about herself. What about me? I'm not getting the chance to talk. And then you have combative also. So combative is ready to fight, as we say, right? So it's forward, but the body language is closed. Okay, so imagine like that. So it's a sign of anger, resistance, and literally waiting that stop it now, let me speak. I have to also talk. Why is it that you are only talking? And this is more towards aggression, like willing to fight, willing to, come strongly and what do you call, fight it out. So next time when you're talking to somebody and you expect them to be a listener, yes, it's good to expect them to be listeners, but we cannot control how they respond. So it's important that you talk to only those people who are either open forward or who are open back. If you see these signs, which is closed forward or closed back, then you need to change your approach. So in this case, forward and closed, it's best to just let them go, because they're not as it is good listeners. They're not going to help you. And in this case, it's important to check if their mood is okay, if they're going through something themselves. Okay, if they're not fine, then you have to give them grace, you have to let them go. But if you feel that they need help, then now it's time for you to stop talking and get them to talk. Change your approach. You become the listener, because now they are in that zone where they just want to shut off. Yeah. So when you're talking, yes, speaking is very important, but more so than that is being a listener. And when you're speaking, it's not just about you speaking, it's also about seeing whether the listener is okay or not. If they're not listening, what's the point of even sharing? Yeah. Great. I hope we are good so far. If you have any questions, please pause, reflect on it. Lovely. Let's move on in that case. Okay. Now, what we are going to do is this segment, we are going to understand the most common body language signs. Okay. Let's get started. The first thing and the most important thing is to know how to meet and greet people. It's a three-step process, where the first step involves giving eye contact, smiling, and having a pleasant facial expression. The second is handshakes, and the third is going ahead and greeting the person or introducing yourself. Think about it. The moment you see somebody, let's say you've entered a networking event and you see somebody, the first thing you do is you smile from that distance, you give eye contact, then you move, and then a handshake is happening, and then the talk also starts, right? You just greet, you'll shake hands, and then you'll start talking. That's a three-step process. So now let's start talking a little bit about facial expressions. We're going to talk about eye contact first. So in eye contact, there's something known as the 80-20 rule. Okay. Now, I just want to check with you. Have you heard of the Pareto principle? Pareto, Pareto principle. So the 80-20 rule comes from the Pareto principle. Pareto principle says that there's always an 80-20 in everything. So 80% of the times, 80% effort leads to 20% results, and vice versa. 20% effort leads to 80% results. What does this mean? Let's say if I have 100 things to do, okay? Now, not everything out of those 100 things are important, right? There will always be a fixed set of items which are more important compared to the other. So Wilfred Pareto, the one who made Pareto principle, he said that focus on your top 20% of things to get 80% results. So out of the 100, when I put my 20% effort, which means I picked my top 20 things, I put my efforts there, those 20 things are responsible for giving me 80% of results. Think of it this way. When you had to give exams in your school and college, we would not study everything, right? We would try to look at the past question papers. We would try to identify a paper pattern. We would talk to our faculties, ask them which subject, which chapter has how many marks. And based on that, we would decide to leave some chapters or leave some questions from certain chapters. What we were doing there was we were focusing on the top 20% of the questions. If there were 50 questions, we are focusing on 20, preparing them really well, because we know 80% marks, whatever the number of marks are, 80% of that is going to come through these questions only, right? So that is the Pareto principle. Always focus on top 20 to get 80%, and it works vice versa also. 80% of the things that we do, we try to take up a lot of tasks. 80% things we do, and we realize that, oh God, these 80% just contributed to 20% of my results, right? So eye contact also has an 80-20. And this rule says that 80% of the times look at the people, 20% of the times don't look at them, because even they need some time to have a breather. Okay, if you constantly keep looking in the person's eyes throughout the conversation, one whole hour, the person who is with you, the listener or the recipient, is going to get uncomfortable. Don't you feel that? Just imagine if I were to meet you today and I have to have this entire session with you face to face in an offline world, okay? And I constantly keep just looking at you and teaching. Don't you think it's going to cause a little bit of discomfort? That happens because we also want people to not give us so much attention. We all love attention, but not too much. In between, even we want to like take it easy, maybe stretch a bit when the other person is not looking, or maybe grab something. Like maybe some people are not comfortable even drinking water on the camera, for example. So they may want to do that, or maybe somebody wants to quickly brush their hair when the other person is not looking. So that's what the 80-20 rule is. Whenever you're talking, 80% look at them, 20% look away. Okay, now how do you look away? You also have to have a way to look away. Okay, so I would say for every 10 to 20 seconds when you're talking to a person, remaining time, so let's say 10 seconds you're looking at somebody. After that, for 2 seconds, just quickly look somewhere and then come back. Okay, so let's say if I'm talking to you right now, while talking, if I'm trying to remember something, I'll just look there and then I'll come back to you. So this way, when the opposite person gets a breather, he or she does not feel that I'm constantly, being looked at all the time. So that's the 80-20 rule. 80% look, 20% don't look. 80% look again, 20% don't look. And when you say don't look, you're just like, for a quick second or two, you're just looking at the wall or you're just looking outside and quickly coming back. Yeah. Now, apart from this, how do you do eye contact? Okay, so there are different zones when it comes to eye contact. In fact, I would love to draw that out for you here. So ignore the bunny ear or the devil ear. So this is the person's eyes. Okay, this is the nose. Okay. Okay, let me do one thing. I will redo this. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So this is the person's. Okay, I'm not too sure what happened. Just a second. Okay, just give me a moment. So because I'm not able to kind of draw it neatly here, I will just go ahead and share it on the slide with you. All right. Okay, let's go for this. So this is the person's face. All right. This looks much neater, right? Now, what we are going to do is we are going to understand the different zones in eye contact. So if you are directly looking at their eyes, okay, directly you're giving eye contact, that's called direct eye contact. Now that is good. You should give direct eye contact because it shows confidence. And remember, even when you're giving direct eye contact, it should be 80-20. You're not constantly going to keep looking at the person because it'll discomfort him. But let's say if I look at the nose, so which is basically from the forehead. Okay, so whenever I say zones, I mean from the forehead. So from the forehead, if I look till here, forehead to nose, This part is called the friendly gaze. Okay, so forehead to nose, this is the friendly gaze. Okay, or we also call it the social gaze. This part to eyes, the triangle that we see here, this is called power gaze. Okay, this is power gaze. Forehead to nose is social gaze. And then you also have forehead to lips. Now, this is something that we avoid doing. Social gaze has, in fact, even this is called social gaze. And below that, we call it intimate zone or intimate gaze, which of course you don't have to. In fact, you just have to focus till the nose. Okay. So whenever you're giving eye contact, there are two things. I'm going to talk in a professional scenario now. Either you give complete direct eye contact, which means you look at the person eye to eye. It is good, it shows confidence. But again, I want to talk to you from a culture perspective. In India, as we were discussing some time back, we belong to a slightly conservative culture. And when you give direct eye contact to somebody, here in our country, it looks like a sign of disrespect. Okay. Many a times when you're talking to your elders, your teachers, your principals, I'm sure you would have at least seen in one movie where they say lower your eyes and talk. So that is because of a cultural difference. So I would suggest that yes, give your direct eye contact, but at times also look at the tip of the nose, sometimes the forehead. So forehead to nose, okay, that's what you have to look at. In fact, you know what? This whole part, we can actually consider it as power gaze itself, while this part is still power. This is power gaze, this is social gaze, this is in between. But still, this is not considered social enough. I hope you're getting the difference. Social means you're interested in a flirty manner with somebody. You are kind of, it's outside work environment, right? So it's more or less still around the power gaze area. Hence, we could call it this part. Okay, so forehead to nose. So sometimes look at the forehead, sometimes look at the eye, sometimes look at the tip of the nose, sometimes look at this part, bridge of the nose as well. That is what is permissible in a professional environment. All right. And yes, along the way, follow the 80-20 rule of eye contact as well. You're not going to look below the lips, which is you're not going to look below the nose, I'm sorry, which is your lip area and lower than the lip, because it gives a very different sign in that case. Okay, so I just want to tell you to take a pause here and check if we are all good. If there are any questions, do let me know. Think about it. Forehead to nose with the 80-20 rule. That is what is supposed to be done. Direct eye contact in India, not 100% accepted. Hence, we go around this area. All right. Now, apart from that, let's try to read the eye movements. Okay. Now, when a person looks straight at you, well and good. It's a sign that they're looking at you, they're 100% focused, and they're talking to you. But many a times you'll notice that you go ahead and your eye gaze changes. So, for example, if somebody is trying to tell you, hey, can you remember that creative that we made? Can you remember that design that we had made for the client? Or you're trying to recall something, so your eyeballs shift. Okay, they move upward, downward. So if you're trying to remember something visual, you tell them, let me think. And your eyeballs go upward, more so towards the left. Or sorry, more so towards the right. So you say, let me think. And when things happen on the right side, either this way, or this way, we say these things have happened in our life. We're just trying to recall it. Okay. And when the eyeball moves towards the left, which is upward, center, or downward, it means that we're trying to be creative and visualize something. Okay. Right side is trying to recall, remember something. Left side is trying to imagine, visualize something. So when you're trying to visualize, means you're trying to remember the look of something, visual aspect, your eyeball will go towards the right and top. When you're trying to remember a sound, you've heard the sound before, you're trying to remember it, your eyes will move towards the right. Okay. And when you're trying to remember some internal dialogue, okay, which has happened before, please understand, right side is all about things that have happened. That is the kinesthetic. Okay. Straight head means I'm looking at you, I'm 100% focused at what I am looking right now. Left, So again, upward is visualization. So you're trying to visually create something in your mind. You're trying to imagine, what if I do this way? What if I draw this way? What's going to come out? Or you're trying to imagine, what if I painted this way? What if the scenery looks this way? Right? Uh, then here is auditory. Okay, left side and then in the center. So you're trying to construct sounds and you're seeing, does this sound right? Am I enjoying this tune? Should I release this ring tune or ringtone? Right? So that is auditory. You're creating something and you're just trying to play it. Sometimes people even hum and they see, okay, is it going fine? And that time you'll notice by default the eye movement also shifts. And then you have kinesthetic. So just trying to feel, what if this came true? How will I feel? Right? So now understand, all of this happens without our knowledge. Whenever you're talking to somebody, just try to take notice of where their eye movements are, and you'll get an idea of what's happening. Has it really happened in their lives, or are they constructing it? You come to know. Are they trying to remember it visually, the look of it, or are they trying to remember some sounds from that event? Okay. So many a times, interviewers ask you this question. They ask you a situational question that assume the situation has happened. What would you do? And then they look at your eye movements and they're trying to understand what's your style of learning, what's your style of visualizing, right? Again, it is subconscious. You're not controlling this. In fact, a body language is such a thing that is not much in our control till we don't want it to be in our control. What do I mean by that? Like, I give you the example of criminals and stuff, right? So, with criminals, they are being extra aware of every movement, and that's why they are kind of able to manage it, but they're still not everyone is 100%. But with us, what typically happens is that we can consciously master certain aspects of it. Like now we know crossed arms are not good, should be uncrossed, right? So those small things we can take care of. But it gets difficult to manage your body language if the body part is away from your brain. So, for example, the furthest away from our brain are our feet, right? Our toes, our feet is the furthest away from the brain. So it's the most difficult to control. And that's exactly what happens in interviews. Many a times interviewers have glass tables, right? Where that's a setting. They have a glass table. They call you for an interview. And you feel, yes, I have been very confident. My hand gestures were good. My facial expressions were good. But they are also taking note of your feet. Okay. They are also noting, in case you're wearing sandals for women, especially if you're wearing sandals, they are noticing if your toes are curling, whether you're tapping your feet, whether you're shaking your legs. What are you doing? They notice all of that. And guess what? You yourself don't realize what happens. Like, I'll give you one example which has happened many times with me. So I do a lot of mock group discussions for students, more so for the offline world. And online, we don't really need it, but more so for the offline world. And over there, what I tend to do is I get them to sit in a circle. I give them a topic, and they have to talk on it. Like the entire group has to participate and share their views on that topic. And I keep taking a note of their body language. What are they doing? Are their expressions fine? Were they smiling? Was there eye contact? Everything. And after that, once the group discussion is over, one by one, I give every student feedback. And I tell them, you were tapping your feet a lot. You were kind of, your feet were very like fidgety sorts. Sometimes you're keeping your feet like that, then it's going this way, like this, because you have the footrest, right? So they fidget a lot. And they keep telling me, no, ma'am, I did not. I was very conscious of it. And as proof, there are other students who were there in the GD. They said, yes, I saw it too. Okay, so that's a proof that we don't realize our own body language, but there are people observing it. So the more you become aware of these kind of tips, the better it will be for you. It'll help you to ace your meetings, your interviews, and create a good impression in front of people. Yeah. Take a pause. We've done a lot, and check if we are all good. Flip through your pages, see if everything is making sense for you. Awesome. So with that, let's continue in that case. Moving on. Okay, moving on. Now tell me if this looks familiar. We are now transitioning. We did eye contact. In fact, we spoke a little bit about smile. So since we did facial expressions right now, let me quickly talk to you about smile. We already spoke about this. But smile is something that needs to be there, but not put on the face 100% of the times. You need to know when to smile, and it's okay to even have a grin. It's absolutely fine if you don't have a big, wide smile. The point is you have to look pleasant whenever you're meeting and greeting people. Okay, so that's on a smile. Moving to handshakes now. Okay, so tell me which of these look familiar to you? What kind of handshakes have you experienced? Let's label this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What all have you experienced? So the first one is when you're trying to woo a girl. Yeah, we call it the wooing handshake. This is a sweaty handshake. How many of you have received a sweaty handshake? Somebody has just come from a travel, or their hands are wet, either it's sweaty or it's wet, and they come and shake hands with you. Yeah, this one is a bone crusher. Somebody holds your hand so tightly while the handshake is on that you feel like, oh God, my hand is no longer there with me. Yeah, that's a bone crusher. We call it a bone crusher. When meeting army officers, that is still okay. So army officers, their hands are firm, but what I'm trying to say is they literally see, army officers are firm. This is a firm handshake, and we will learn how to do that. But when they hold your hand and they crush it, that's called a bone crusher. This is more or less like a flirty handshake. We call it the tickle handshake, and this again is more like a wooing handshake. So, in fact, I can help you understand the difference. This is more like that this is more in the early stages of the relationship. We're trying to woo somebody. Sometimes this is also called a lady's finger handshake, by the way, because it's so weak. Like even in business, people don't even hold your hand, just shake it as if God knows, as if they're holding a very delicate flower. So this is also called a lady's finger handshake, and this is more like when it's confirmed that yes, we are together. It's that kind of a handshake. Okay. So yes, this also comes in the wooing stage. This also kind of comes, but many times people in business use this. In a business scenario, we call this the lady's finger handshake. Okay. So obviously none of these handshakes are right. The right way of shaking hands is something that we are going to be learning in the next few minutes. But before that, I want you to pause this video and kind of recollect what are some interesting handshakes you've experienced. So when I say interesting, I mean these or maybe more than these if you've experienced. So note it down in your notepad so that you know that these are the don'ts. These are the types of handshakes you should not be doing. Okay. Take a pause and make a note. Not necessarily you need to have a name for everything. You can just go ahead and write what are the kind of handshakes that need to be avoided. Right? Now let's come to the interesting part. Okay, the interesting part is now I mean to say in a not so sarcastic manner, I mean to say in a right way, the interesting part of shaking hands properly. Okay, you don't want it to be too weak. You don't want it to be too heavy. So when I say too heavy, you don't want it to be too firm also because it can hurt the other person. You don't want it to be too weak also so that the other person does not even feel you've had a handshake. It needs to be an in between. So before you decide, how the handshake should be, the first step is to look at the distance between the people. So I'm sorry. So the right way to do this is to have a 1-arm distance between you and the other person. That is the distance, total 1-arm distance you will have. So in between the handshake can happen. Like if you notice here, they kind of have a 1-arm distance and they're able to shake hands comfortably. Here, the distance is too far away. And that's why the handshake is pretty weird. One person has to literally, as if, he's lending his hand, he's literally moving quite ahead to give the handshake. So 1-arm distance is the right approach. Next thing is to understand the position of the hand. So how you do that is by the hand always being like this, straight. Okay, the hand should never be down or it should never be like this. So here you can see this when the hand is this way. Okay, it's like the person is coming like that and giving his hand. It means I am the dominant one. I am taking control. Okay, he's trying to show that he or she is superior. Whereas if the person comes to give a handshake and his hand is down, it's saying that, hey, I'm the submissive one, you can take control of everything. Okay. Whereas in business, everything is equal. You're not there to take control, you're not there to give control. So you will always have your hands straight while shaking hands. So here you can see both hands are straight, no hand is up or down. And nor are you doing this. So this is a glove handshake where one hand is shaking and the other hand is like, kind of cupped or gloved. Sometimes the other version of gloved handshake is when the other hand, so if let's say I'm shaking with this hand, my other hand is touching the other person's arm or even shoulder for that matter. So those are things that we avoid. Those are what politicians typically do. But in a business scenario, we just stick to this kind of handshake. Now, how exactly to shake hands? Remember that it's always the senior who initiates the handshake. So let's say in this case, if you recently joined a new company and you have a senior. If the senior does not initiate the handshake, you won't do it. If the senior initiates it, you go ahead and you shake hands with him or her. Okay, so always in corporate, it is seniority. You would have heard of sayings like, let the woman initiate the handshake. That's not in a business scenario. That happens in social events and stuff, not for business purpose. In business, man and women are considered equal. So the only thing that decides whether I should initiate the handshake or not is superiority. Whoever is more senior will go ahead and kind of initiate the handshake. All right. Even this we will avoid. We'll stick to this. Now, we spoke about hand taking control or giving control. Those are nothing but palm gestures. We call them palm positions. So if I'm giving my hand like this in a handshake, it means that I am open to giving control. This means I'm the dominant one. Okay, so these are two things. Now the same thing, I'm extending it generally into hand gestures. So let's say if I'm talking to you right now, you would have noticed that when I talk, my hand is upward. The palms are upward, right? So if you notice, even right now, when I'm doing my hand gestures, the palm is upward. Versus if I'm talking to you like that, do it this way only. There is no other way of doing it. Now this is downward. My palms are downward. So when I'm upward, I'm showing that I'm open to sharing information with you. I'm open to receiving information from you. But when my palms go this way, I'm in a dominant position that, hey, I don't want to listen, just follow my instructions. What I say is right, nothing else, right? So this is dominating. You would have seen it many a times in your school or college when the class gets really noisy. What do? The teachers, they bang the table and they make you keep quiet, right? They'll just bang and say, keep quiet. And then the class keeps quiet suddenly because the teacher suddenly changed her way and she's become dominating now, right? Sometimes you need to do this when you have to be strict about certain things. So for example, let's say you go ahead and you say that we have a timeline. We have to do it by the end of this month. So here in this situation, for now, you're showing that I'm very strict about this. I'm not going to negotiate. This is like there's no negotiation. This is my instruction to you. So in those situations, you can show the seriousness of the situation by putting your hand down. The budget we have is just 50,000. We cannot cross 50,000. So now I'm very stuck up. I can't increase my budget, right? So understand when to use which body language. In interviews, it's always going to be upward. Even in your relationships, be it personal or be it business, ideally it should always be upward. But when there are things where the team has to listen, they have to follow some instructions, there's no negotiation. For those few minutes, you can put your palm down. The third thing that comes is pointing fingers. Now, this looks very aggressive. Okay. Let me give you one example and you can tell me which one do you think is friendlier. Okay, I'm going to say one sentence 2 times. I'll say the ditto same sentence, but my body, my hand, my palm positions will change. Okay, let's go for this. Get that bottle for me. Okay, I'm saying this. Get that bottle for me. And the next one is get that bottle for me. Which one do you think seems like a request, a friendly request? The second one, what does the first one look like? Get that bottle for me. Okay, my words are the same. I try to keep the same tone. The first one looks like a command. It looks like an order. Hey, go ahead and get it for me. It's an instruction. Follow it. Second one is, though I didn't use the word please, my words were the same. But still, when the palm is up, it looks like the person is respectful, right? And that's what you want in your relationships, business and personal as well. You don't just unnecessarily want to go about ordering and being that aggressive person. Yeah. So one thing before we move on, I would like to kind of call out is that never ever just look at one thing in body language and decide that the person is this way only. You have to look at the entire body language. So sometimes you may feel that, oh, this person is crossing her arms. Maybe she does not want to listen to me. Okay, but you have to look at the entire situation, not just his or her body language, but even the environment. Maybe this person is crossing her hands because she's feeling cold, right? So never just look at one sign and say, oh, it means this. It's always a combination of his or her thoughts that are going on, the environment, and whether the person is feeling ill, whether they are feeling fine or not. Okay. So remember, body language is a total of everything, not just that one sign. Okay. Moving on. Now we are still on palm positions. There's something known as steeple, Steeple. Now, steeple means a power position. I always suggest this that whenever you're very nervous to go on stage and you tend to fidget with your hands, like you do this, or you fidget with your watch while talking on stage. Always get into a steeple, which means you do this, okay, and keep it around your stomach area. Okay, so when I say stomach, I mean maybe slightly above the navel area. You just get into a steeple and you talk. Now, suddenly, the same person who was nervous, who was lacking confidence, with this one position, appears to be very confident. Okay, so try it out. Next time you have an important meeting, presentation, or you have to talk on stage and you're very nervous, just get into a steeple, which is a power position, and you talk. Okay, now let's say you're sitting down. Now, in a sitting down, this is a steeple while talking. So on the table, you do this. This is a talking steeple, which means that when you're talking, you tend to, as a speaker, basically, you tend to use this. But let's say if you're a listener, you're listening and you want to show that you're focused, your steeple gets lowered, as you can see here. Now, if you notice this image, the legs are pretty spread out. Again, in Indian context, we can spread our hands and legs, but not too much. So maybe you'll reduce this a little bit. Okay, so that's the steeple. This is for speaker, this is for listener. And when you're standing, it's going to be around the navel area. And when you talk, either you hold it like this and talk constantly, or you can move around like that. You can move your hand a little bit also while talking. Okay, let's take a pause again. You've done quite a few things. Go back, flip through your pages, and see if you've got everything right. Try to absorb everything that you've been learning today. Awesome. Moving on. Now we come to arm cross gestures. Okay, we're going to talk everything about arm cross. Now, as we discussed, arm cross is a closed body language. Okay, now again, I want to just repeat. Arm cross in combination with other things can be closed body language. So now we'll just understand the meaning of arm crosses. When the arms are crossed, okay, they are a sign that the person is not willing to share information and may not even be willing to receive information. Okay, they are not open to the idea of sharing. Now, if a person does this thumbs up, hands crossed with thumbs up, that's a sign that he feels I'm too cool. Okay, he's too cool to be listening to all this. If a person is putting the fist tied down, so that's a sign that he is upset or he is hostile about something. Okay. Now this is a full arm cross, all three. You also have partial arm crosses, as you can see here, where this girl, she's not crossed both her hands, it's just one hand, but the meaning remains the same, that I'm not open to sharing or receiving information. Same way, this person is kind of, it's called a disguised arm cross, where he's kind of crossing his hands by, putting his hand around his watch or something. So he does not want to do a complete cross, but his body, see, it's subconscious, right? Body language is subconscious. His hands are going this way, which again is a sign that he's not 100% okay to share or receive information. And then this also, like holding a purse in front of you, it's like creating a barrier, right? So when you do this, again, it's a sign that I'm not comfortable sharing or opening up completely in front of you. All these are barriers. Whenever you see a cross, it's a sign of a barrier. Okay. Moving on. Now let's move to leg crosses. Okay? So surprisingly, I'm sure you'll be surprised when I tell you this. Women sit this way. It's a standard leg cross. And we think that for men, a standard leg cross would be this. But actually, men can also sit like this. In fact, this is considered to be more graceful compared to the other kind of leg crosses for men. Okay. So leg cross again means that the person is not comfortable sharing or receiving information. But remember this, that sometimes it happens that the meetings are really long, 45 minutes, 1 hour, the interview is going on, and you want to change your position a bit. So in that case, a leg cross is okay for some time. Maybe you cross your leg for 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so, and then you come back to sitting normally. Okay. Every time in any important meeting or in an interview, you want to sit with legs uncrossed. If it's going on for too long, you're uncomfortable sitting in that position, get into a leg cross. That's fine, but just for a little amount of time. But never ever do any kind of hand cross, okay, arm cross. So now, if you notice, this looks more professional compared to these two. These two, in fact, look pretty casual. In fact, this is something that we don't recommend at all. This is way too casual, way too informal. And this also is occupying more space. And the leg, maybe a person is sitting here. So the feet are facing the person, right? So we avoid these kind of leg cross. If you have to ever get into a leg cross as a man, would highly recommend this one. All right. Now let's look at these. Now you have a double cross here. There's an arm cross and there's a leg cross. Okay. So here, what is happening? There's a double cross, which indicates that the person is really closed. He or she is shrinking her, looks like a she. So she's shrinking her body too much, right? Because she's not comfortable with the other person that's around her. Now, if you look at this, think of this as if there are two people here, they're talking to each other. Their arms are crossed and their legs are crossed. Take a pause and think, what does this one mean? We're talking about the middle picture here, both the men talking to each other. Arm cross, leg cross. What do you think this indicates when you look at them? So can you see that while they might be smiling, okay, maybe this person does, it looks like he has a smile. Maybe this person also, it looks like they have a smile. They both have a smile. But look at the arm cross and leg cross. It's indicating that yes, on the face we are smiling at each other, but we are not comfortable with each other. Maybe we don't even trust each other, and that's why there's so many crosses happening, right? Now, when you compare it to this pair over here, same two people, okay? Now they are hands are open, they are uncrossed arms, uncrossed legs. Do you feel that the message is changing? Can you make out the difference? Same two people, first with two arm cross, leg cross, and now there's open hand gesture. There is palm up, and feet also are uncrossed. What is this indicating to you? What is the difference in the body language? Think about it. So here you can notice that they're not quite comfortable sharing. But here, both of them are open to sharing with each other. Okay, does not look like they are uncomfortable, but here it is very evident that maybe there are trust issues as well over here. Okay, whenever you see closed, closed could mean not willing to share, not willing to receive, and the reasons could be different, because maybe you don't trust the person, maybe you feel it's too early to go ahead and share something with this person, or maybe you're just not in the mood. Maybe you're bored, maybe you feel withdrawn. It could be many things. That's why, again, I want to repeat, look at the whole body language. When you look at the body, what do you call, the hands, the legs, and you look at the facial expressions clearly, the facial expressions will help you to understand how the person is also feeling, right? So it's always a combination of things in body language. Next up, now I want to tell you about hand to face gestures. Now, hand to face gestures are used to understand whether you can trust a person or not. So let's say if I'm talking this, let's take an interview example here. Okay, let's say I am talking and I'm talking with my hand on my mouth. Okay, I'm sharing some very important. Then I did this. I went to the store and I bought this. But constantly now you see I'm trying to talk something, but my hand is on my mouth. Okay, so this indicates I'm trying to lie about something. So again, when you are the speaker, you don't realize what is happening. Okay, body language is unconscious. So when this happens, the interviewer can see this. It's called the mouth guard. Okay, it's called the mouth guard. The interviewer can see that this person is up to something. He or she is lying about something. Okay, so it's literally as if your hand is stopping you from uttering the lie that's coming out of your mouth. Okay, so this is a mouth guard. Whenever you see people do this pretty often, that means they are up to some lies. They are not speaking the 100% truth. Same way, if they talk and they talk like this, we can do this. Surely, we've done this for our past clients, and this is happening while talking. They do this pretty often. They're doing this, and then they talk to you, and then they do this again. When you see this, it's called the nose touch. It means the same thing. It's literally like your hand is coming around this area, telling it, "Hey, stop it! Why are you lying? Don't lie." Okay, so that's the nose touch. When you touch around your nose part while lying, and mouth guard is when you touch the mouth. The next is the eye rub. Okay, so whenever an eye rub happens, it's a sign that whatever I am seeing, I do not believe. Let's say you go for an interview and you're showing your portfolio. Okay, the interviewer is seeing your portfolio, but he does this. Okay, and it's happening. Like whatever he's seeing, it not necessarily has to be the whole eye. It could just be the corner of the eye also. Okay, he's doing this. This is a sign, and if it happens often, like 2-3 times he's done it, this is a sign that he's not believing what he or she is seeing. Now, if you have lied about something in your portfolio, then this is understood that he's not believing. But let's say, you are not lying about anything. Everything is completely fine in your portfolio. You've really done the work that you've put in your portfolio, and you see the sign. So it is a signal for you to do something to make him believe that this is done by you. Okay. You don't have to say, "Sir, I hope you believe this is done by me." You don't have to talk like that. You can just start talking about 1 or 2 projects, some details, some specifications, which will make him believe, that you are speaking the truth. Okay, so whenever you see an eye rub and you know you're 100% right, please expand upon it so that the other person believes that this is actually true. Moving on, you have the neck rub, the ear rub. Okay, the ear rub is, "I don't believe what I'm listening." So think of this as Gandhiji's 3 banders. Buramad bolo, buramad dekho, buramad suno. Okay, बुरा मत कहो, बुरा मत देखो, बुरा मत बोलो, बुरा मत देखो, बुरा मत सुनो. Okay, so if you do this, you're pulling you're rubbing it. Okay, it's a sign that I do not believe what I am hearing. And then you do the same thing. If you see the interviewer kind of rub the ear, then it indicates I don't believe. So you have to share those details which will help him to believe that you are actually speaking the truth. Okay. Next is the neck scratch. So typically, if you or the person scratches the neck around 4 5 times, it's not one like that. It could just be that something is itching you. It can happen, right? But if the person is doing this 4 5 times, okay, it's happening 4 5 times, then it's a sign that he is doubtful about something. Okay, like let's say I am going for an interview. You are the interviewer. Okay, and they're asking you are the interviewer. You are asking me that Ria, are you willing to relocate? And I say, yeah, it should not be a problem. I just need 30 days advance notice, and I can relocate to whichever city you want. Okay, now if I'm in the next scratch while talking, of course, my tone of voice will also give way, right? My tone has become shaky now. I'm not confident. And then you see my next scratch. That means Ria, looking at Ria, I feel that it's highly doubtful that she's going to relocate. Okay, so next scratch, when you do, the interviewer knows that this is not going to happen. This for sure, she is uncertain about this. Same way, if let's say you are what do you call? You are going ahead and buying something. Let's say you're going to a store to buy a laptop, and you are seeing the the store fellow that will this work for 5 years? Hi, so nobody has faced a problem. It has worked, and he does this next scratch 4 5 times. Then you get the hint that for sure he is not certain. He is not sure about the commitments that he is making to you. All right. So these 5 signs that we learned 1 2 3 4 5, we call them deception signs, which mean lying signs. Either you are lying or the other person is not believing that you are actually speaking the truth. They're called deception signs. Okay. Now let's move to a very important concept in body language, which is called mirroring. Okay. Now, going by the word mirroring, it means same thing. So whenever you want to build a bond with somebody, okay, always mirror, which means copy their body language, but only the positive one. Okay. So mirroring is a rapport building technique where you copy, where you imitate the other person's positive body language signs. Now, why do we have to do that? Because see, we've discussed this in one of our sessions, if you remember, we all like to be with people who are similar to us. Like, for example, you discover the other person is your caste or from your village, or he or she has studied in the same college as you have, or he or she loves chai and you love chai, you tend to bond. So that happens because you talk, you realize that, hey, this person is just like me. But not in every situation can you talk to the person to know his likes and dislikes. Like, for example, in an interview, you can't sit and ask the interviewer, so what sports you like, which school are you from, which college are you from. I know your intention is to bond, but you can't do that. So in places where it's difficult to speak and bond, we use the mirroring technique. But of course, the mirroring technique can also be used in your friendships, in your personal relationships, though you might know the person. But if you're trying to build the trust levels, you can use mirroring. Okay. Remember, it's only positive body language. Like here in this picture, you can see they both have similar hand actions. So one hand on the head and one doing this. So this shows that we both are interested in the same thing. Oh my God, this is mind blowing. It looks like they're talking about that. This is mind blowing. Let's go for this idea, right? So one person is copying the other person's positive body language. Same way over here, it looks like these both are business partners or they are colleagues who know each other well. They both are holding the cup. Looks like they're holding the cup in a very similar way. Their legs also are in the same fashion. Both are pointing towards each other. So again, it's a sign that they are kind of bonding. Now understand that one person might be taking extra effort to copy the positive signs, but the person who was originally doing the signs, he can see that, hey, this guy looks just like me. He's behaving just like me. Okay, and then he starts getting that comfort. Okay. Now, obviously, you don't have to copy instantly. Let's say, like, let's take this example. Let's say we are at a business meeting. I take a a glass of water, I take a sip of water. You wait for 10 seconds and then you take a sip of water. Okay. Same way, if I'm talking to you, I'm making some important notes. Okay. You take those 10 seconds, hold on, and then you start taking notes. So when the person sees you're just like him, he or she tends to trust you. He or she feels that you're just like him. But remember only to copy the positive signs. If I am yawning and if you do that, while I also did it, I also yawned, but I will see that, hey, you yawned. Okay, that means you're bored of me. So avoid doing anything negative. With that, I now want to move to the next segment, which is decision making body language, which is again, I'm going to share some signs just like these, which can help you to understand whether the person is making a decision or is not making a decision. All right. And the pictures that I'm going to share from now on have been taken by this book called Without Saying a Word. It's an amazing book. If you're really interested in body language, I would highly recommend that you go ahead, read the book, and understand people better. All right. Now, let me take a pause here. I want you to flip through your notes and just check if everything is good to go, if you are ready to absorb more information. If you feel that, hey, oh God, I have too many things to remember, guess what? It's a recorded version. You can pause and you can revise whatever we've done so far and then go ahead and move to the next bit. Okay. Awesome. So with that, I'm guessing you are all set or ready to learn some more body language signs. These are specifically for understanding whether a person is making a decision or where is he in the decision-making process. All right, let's go for it. So the first sign that I have for you is this. We call this rubbing the chin. Okay. So in rubbing the chin, when somebody does this, I'm sure you would have noticed, when you're trying to make a decision, somebody or the other with whom you're trying to talk is doing this. Okay, they're thinking. So they're thinking about the situation. They're kind of assessing the situation, and the moment they are rubbing stops. So this is called rubbing the chin. They might do it very subtly. It does not have to be like rubbing like that. It could just be a very subtle rub. So the moment the rubbing stops, that means the decision has been made. So this, when you see somebody do this, that means this means they're still thinking, and this means they've completed making the decision. Now, whether they want to share the decision with you or not, we don't know that, but we know that now the decision has been made. Okay. Now, if you want to know whether the decision is positive or negative, so if they turn their head, it's a positive decision. But if they look up or they look down, okay, it can mean that it's something negative. The decision is not positive. Either they want to ask you more questions or they just want to come and say that, hey, it's not going to work out. Okay. So let's take one example. Let's say you've joined a company and you're meeting a client. Okay. You've shared the budget with a client and the client is thinking, do I need your services? And then they just look around and they say, okay, I think we can go for it. Now, this is positive. But if they rub and they do this, and then they look at you, they can ask you some questions or they can say, oh, I think I just have to let go. It's way out of my budget. Okay. So this is how you can come to know whether it's positive or negative. Okay. Next up, if the eyes are a little lowered, if you can notice her eyes are a little low and she has her index finger on the lip. Okay. Now this is called eyes lowered with index finger on lips. So that means she's thinking something and she's in a very deep state. She does not want to be disturbed. So whenever you see somebody do this with eyes slightly lowered, they're not giving you direct eye contact. It means you just need to keep quiet and wait for them to respond. You can't break their flow and ask them, so what do you think? Or many a times, you'll see that when you're in meetings, any silence feels very awkward. Okay, so let's say you are in the company and you have a prospective client. You've shared something with him. And now it's been 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and he's like that. Now, I know you'll feel uncomfortable that there's too much silence, but he is in a deep thinking state. If you go ahead and try to pitch something, we will also do this. In fact, I forgot to tell you about this feature. It is just going to break the flow. And if it breaks the flow, it can simply mean that the decision is not going to be in your favor. All right. The next thing, this is a very common one. I'm very confident you would have seen this, where the person has glasses and one of the sticks of the glass is in the mouth. This again indicates that the person is almost done with making the decision. He's just like in the final touches to go ahead and think, okay, is this decision right or wrong? He's just getting ready to go ahead and tell what the decision is. All right. Then next, with a pen in the mouth. Here you can see there's a pen in the mouth. So not necessarily it has to be a pen. It could be a pencil or it could just be some other object. But in a business situation, typically when you're in meetings, you either have a pen or a pencil with you itself, right? So if a person is in that state, and I'm sure you would have done this too, when you were studying in college, in your lectures, or maybe when you were thinking of some assignments, you too would have had the habit of putting the pen in your mouth probably. What this means is that you're not sure. Okay, now look at the difference. Glasses in the mouth is like the decision is being made. Matlab, it can be a positive decision or it can be a negative. I'm not saying the outcome is going to be positive, but at least there the person has almost made a decision. Whereas in this case, the person is still uncertain. Should I go this way or should I go the other way? Okay. So in this situation, now the beauty is when you see this, you can go ahead and provide some information. You can just ask him, ma'am or sir, is there anything that you would want to know from me? They need more information because they are uncertain, right? If they want to become certain, you will share more information and then they'll be able to take a better decision. All right. Then the next sign is that the hands are on the table and the person is bending forward. Okay. Now this indicates any forward bend is a sign of eagerness, it's a sign of being interested, it's a sign of being enthusiastic and willing to listen up, right? Which means that the person is looking to kind of associate with you or collaborate with you. The next is this way, quite opposite, right? Look at this picture and look at this picture. This person arm cross, the biggest sign, and then backward. Remember the listening signs, we've done that in the quadrants. We looked at 4 quadrants. So arm cross, legs back. Okay. And what does this mean? Sorry, did I say legs back? My mistake. Arm cross and leaned behind. Okay. So this means the person is, this is not going to happen. What are you saying? I'm highly doubtful. Okay. So he's in denial that what you're providing can actually be done. Okay. Next is suggested not to persist, because the more you persist this person, the more he'll become rebellious. So if a person is sitting in this way, he's already in refusal, he's in denial. If you try to give him more information, you try to pitch more to him, he's just going to become a bigger rebel about it. So in this situation, what you need to do is try a different approach. Now, what you could do is that you could ask him if he has any questions. I'm not going to push anything to him. I'm just going to go ahead and check with him. So do you have any questions? I would love to answer. If not, okay. And then you end the conversation there. You do not try to push him too much. Okay. Next one. Here you can see the arms are crossed and there's a smile on the face. Okay. Now this indicates 2 things. Either the person is really excited but wants to hide his excitement, or the person is being sarcastic. Maybe they've cracked a joke on somebody, but in a very sarcastic manner. Okay. So that can also happen. Now, because there's an arm cross also, it means that the person is trying to shrink, means is trying not to share information. So while they are enthusiastic, they are hiding their enthusiasm. Or it can also mean they are closing their arms with a smile because they need some time to think. All right. Let's move to the next one. Now look at this. This picture itself will teach you something. Will help you. It's self-explanatory. It will help you understand something. Now the feet are towards each other. And here the foot is facing the door. Okay. So what do you think this can mean? Take a pause and think, what can this mean? One is this and the other is one foot is facing towards the door. So here you can see that it indicates where is the attention. So in this case, they are interested in each other. They are facing each other. But in this case, the person is just wanting to get out of the situation. He or she just wants to leave. Absolutely. He's just in a hurry to get out of the situation. Same way, let's say if there are two people sitting opposite each other, and one keeps looking at the clock on the wall or the watch that they're wearing, that indicates that I'm in a hurry. Same way, if both people are sitting and one is looking at the door constantly, that's a sign that I want to get out, I want to leave. Okay, so it's important to notice where people's eye movements are, where are their feet movements as well. Next, you would have seen this very often in college lectures, school lectures, that the last 15 minutes of the session, students just start packing up, especially the last lecture of the day. They just start packing their bags, they'll close everything, they'll put their notebooks, put pencils in the pencil box, and then they clear up everything. The desk is clear, everything is in the back, right? What does that indicate? We call it wrap up. What does it indicate? Attention is on the final bell, absolutely. So people are just wrapping up, they're just clearing. So clearing up means they're just wanting to end the conversation, or they just want to end the lecture and just run home, right? So wrapping up or clearing up is a sign that I just want to end this conversation and get out of this situation. All right, let's look at the next one. Here you can see the person is seated with hands over here. So that is, so when I say over here, I mean the arm, their arms or their elbows are on the arm of the chair. So that is an indication that the person is sitting comfortably. He or she is not feeling nervous or anything. They're pretty comfortable. They are confident. And you can use it if you are given less attention in meetings. This is a very, very important point. Let's say, you're having a meeting with a lot of people and people are not noticing you. So you can just sit like that and people will start noticing you. Try it. Next time you have some meeting where you're not being given enough attention and you want people to, listen to your opinion, your view also, just sit with your elbows on the arm of the chair and you will get noticed. Okay. Next, the jacket is open. So jacket open is a positive sign. Okay. It's a sign of openness and it means that the person is willing to start working with you. So jacket open, I'm not saying that the person has to hold the hand, like the person has to hold the jacket. It simply means that, let's say, I'm in a meeting, I'm sitting, and then I decide to just open the blazer button. I'm sitting only, the meeting is going on. I open the blazer button and I continue talking. So that means that the person is willing to work with you. They're convinced about you and they want to take it forward. All right. So that's on body language. As promised, I would want to cover one more tiny part, which is a part of non-verbal communication. And why I'm bringing it here is because it's related to body language. That is proxemics. So proxemics is nothing but the study of space or distance between two or more people. Okay. So if, of course, the space decreases a lot, then there can be hand touch. I mean, there can be handshakes and so on. And that's why I've brought it out over here. Okay. So let's go ahead and understand this. Let's say this is you over here. Okay. Each person has 4 zones around them. Okay. The first zone is intimate zone. The second is called the personal zone. The third is called the social zone. And the fourth is called the public zone. Okay. Now, the first one, this zone is as good as no distance between you and the other person, or it could be just like 2 fist distance, just 2 fist. So this is the zone only for people whom you trust a lot, who are your loved ones, like your family members, like your brother, sister, your parents, maybe even grandparents, maybe your spouse, maybe your boyfriend, girlfriend, right? Maybe even your best friend for that matter. But let's say you have a good friend who's not your best friend, then you won't be very comfortable coming so close. It's like as good as hugging a person really tight, right? So you may have a good friend, but that good friend won't be in the intimate zone. Your best friend will be in the intimate zone. A good friend will be in the personal zone, which is 1 arm distance away. And then more than 1 arm distance, which means 1.5 to 2 arm distance away, is the social zone. This is for people you don't know that well. So if, let's say, a colleague whom you work with regularly comes in personal space, a colleague whom you don't meet much often, whom you have spoken maybe once or twice, that colleague will come in a social space. Same way, let's say there are 4 people standing in a circle and talking about something. They're going to occupy like a social space because we need to be spaced out. You can't come too close and discuss things. You would like to be spaced out even in a circle while talking, right? So 2 arm distance approximately is personal space. And later on, more than 2 arm distance, which is like 12 feet and more than 12 feet, even up to 25 feet, that's called public space. Now, this is the place like, let's say you are a teacher and there are students sitting here. That's a public space. Or let's say you are at a bus stop and there's just you and another stranger. Okay. So typically, what do you do when you're alone in a bus stop and there's another person at the bus stop? You'll both take the extreme ends of the bus stop, right? I'm sure you would have noticed that. Or let's say you're in a lift. There are 2 people, you and another person, a stranger. What do? You stand far away from each other, right? So while that cannot be public space, the idea is to be as far away as possible, right? So public space is usually for large gatherings where there's a speaker and there are many people listening. So there's like quite a lot of gap between them. Okay. Now, why exactly are we talking about different zones here? Because sometimes we feel uncomfortable in business situations with some people. And that discomfort happens because the person should ideally be in a personal space or in a social space, but he has conveniently changed the space. So let's say if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, I would prefer him being in the social space, but he's come in my personal space. So that creates discomfort. Same way, it can happen the other way around also. Somebody who's in my intimate space suddenly decides to go to personal or social space. That also makes the other person feel uncomfortable. Hence, it's very important to understand what is the kind of space you should have between you and the other person, when you are talking. So if it's an acquaintance whom you've just interacted, maybe on the phone, or you've never interacted with them, after the handshake, the distance is pretty much more than 1 arm. But if it's somebody who's like a colleague or like a very good friend whom you interact with on a very daily basis, then a 1 arm distance is good. All right. Great. So that's on proxemics. I hope you found today's session really useful. With that, we've come to an end of the session. And I'm looking forward to going ahead and meeting you very soon for the next session, which is going to be around interview etiquette as well as business etiquette. All right. With that, bye-bye, everyone. Keep revising your notes, keep working on them, keep implementing, because that's the only way your communication is going to get better and better. This is your coach, Riya Punjabi, signing off.